Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
I think everyone have written the prelims and hoping for the positive results, right? How many have written the prelims? How many of you have written the 2021 mains? Prelims, sorry, prelims. Come on, you need to speak up. So, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you please introduce yourself before starting the session? All of you introduce yourself. I said all of you to introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning, sir.
Okay, Akhilesh.
Yes,
Then-
sir. My name is Akhilesh Kumar.
Okay,
I'm from Kolar.
okay. Then, Akhilesh, have you appeared for the 2021 prelims?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think each and everyone have gone through the syllabus and the previous year question papers. right?
Yes, sir.
When you look at previous year question papers, have you analyzed something? Is there any changes in the trends, the way the UPSC is asking the question? Hmm? Is there any changes compared to the previous exams? There has been a change in the trend, in the way the UPSC is asking the question. Huh? Have you gone through the previous year's question? Hmm? Guys, you need to speak out, because interview is all about your articulation. Okay. Earlier, the UPSC anthropology, the examiners used to focus on some of the keywords like describe, discuss, elaborate, explain. But there has been a changes in the trends. Like previous year, there was a question, you may not know, like critically examine the demographic and epidemiological consequences with the rise in food production and sedentism. Paper 1. Have you gone through the question? Critically examine. Earlier, they were asking to describe, discuss, elaborate, explain. But now, they are tilting towards the critical aspects of the concepts. So there has been a changes in the trends, the way the UPSC is asking the question. So when we look at the recent trend, people were dawned with new awareness, new awakening. When you look at the question paper, you will try to analyze that. Whatever I have read, what the courses you have attended, has the question paper been matching with the what you have read or not? Okay, these are the trends. When you say keep aside the service you get into or the enjoy or the service you enjoy the later on, but the UPSC is the UPSC, the way they are asking the question is entirely a different story. Okay, people keep on asking, sir, how to enrich our answer, how to improve our answers. And some there is no need to go in depth into the subject, because we are not preparing for any PG or PhD. But the essential thing is you need to have in-depth, comprehensive knowledge about the subject. Otherwise, you will not be able to write the answer in a holistic way. Okay. How to improve your or enrich your answers, you need to know about your syllabus properly. The syllabus should be on your fingertips. But that doesn't mean that you will remember the topics as one, two, three, four, or something like that. If you try to interlink between these topics, then only you will be able to write the answer in a holistic way. Okay. because these topics, for example, these topics will have different facets. For example, take a topic language. Take a topic language. This topic has different facets. Like, for example, last year they have asked about Sapir hypothesis. What is it? Do you know anything about this Sapir hypothesis? Please, somebody speak up. Do you know about this Sapir hypothesis? I think you have gone through the syllabus, you have gone through the chapter called language. Right?
Theorem, sir.
Speak up. What is Sapir hypothesis? Paper 1 language. I think everyone is going to attend 2021 January mains, right? What does the Sapir hypothesis speaks about? It speaks about how a language builds our behavior and culture. So here you need to interconnect the topic language with the culture. So Sapir hypothesis, what does it say? It says how a language frames our knowledge, behavior, how we need to behave in a particular society. We are living in a particular society and it frames our behavior and it frames our culture also. So this is the Sapir hypothesis, right? So when you study language, you need to look at the subtopics of this language. And you need to interlink the two topics, two concepts. So it is not only about interlinking between the two concepts. You need to interlink the paper 1 and paper 2 also, right? If you see chapter syllabus in chapter 7, paper 1, we have a statement called social context of use of language. Social context of use of language. Social context of use of language. So this is related to Sapir hypothesis. When you look at the last year's question paper, what was the first question? 10 marker. What was the first question? 10 mark. What is the first question in the 2020 anthropology 10 mark question? I think you people have not gone through the syllabus, not gone through the previous year's question paper. I think there are 14 participants, right? Among these 14 participants, no one is speaking about what is the first question. What was the first question?
Sir, write a note on Natufian culture.
Natufian culture, right? Natufian culture. Have you heard about the term Natufian culture? Has anyone heard the term Natufian?
No, sir.
Where did you find this culture? What is the time period of the culture? Who first identified the Natufian culture? This is how you write down. Here, the UPSC plays with your mental stability, mental alertness, your psyche. They challenge your mental stability because you know something about the Natufian culture, but you will not be able to write in a proper way. So, UPSC challenges your psychological aspect here. So, what is Natufian culture? It is a Mesolithic culture of Palestine and southern Syria dating back to 9000 BC. Mesolithic culture. Mesolithic culture of Palestine and southern Syria dating back to 9000 BC. It was first identified by Garrod in 1932. This has to be your introduction, that it is the Mesolithic culture of Palestine and southern Syria, which dates back to 9000 BC, and it was first identified by Garud in 1932. Then you need to mention various Natufian sites. Then mention about their subsistence, means their economy. For example, the Natufian culture was rich in food plants. You may note all these points. Natufian culture was rich in food plants, including cereals, pulses, nuts. They also domesticated dogs. And there was also a question in the previous year. And the question was Swedening. Have you come across the word Swedening? You know the answer, but you don't know the meaning of that word Swedening. I've heard the term Swedening. Swedening is nothing but a shifting cultivation. I think everyone knows about the shifting cultivation, but you don't know the meaning of the term Swedening. So this is how the UPSC is changing its trend. They are playing with your psyche. To interlink the concepts. We have discussed about the language. That is how the UPSC is changing its stance, means they are asking the same topics, in paper 1 and in paper 2 also. For example, we have discussed about the Sapir hypothesis. In paper 2, they are asking about the Dravidian language. That is, write a short note on Dravidian language. Or even they ask about the elucidate the linguistic classification of Indian tribes. Okay, this is how you need to interlink paper 1 and paper 2. Note down the question. I said critically examine the demographic and ecological consequences with the rise in food production and sedentarism. They have asked UPSC has asked the question previously. What is going to be? Nilesh, Namrata, Akhilesh, you people need to speak out. Critically examine the demographic and epidemiological consequences with rise in food production and sedentarism. What will what you are going to, how you are going to answer the question? What the examiner is demanding from you? In fact, when you look at the question, you may think in different way. Maybe the examiner may be talking about the epidemiology because of the COVID pandemic. And there is also a term sedentism because during the lockdown, you were staying at one place, which is a sedentism. So many students might answer from this perspective that we are living at one place and there is a word epidemiology. So due to COVID, the examiner is demanding the consequences of the sedentism and food production. Is this the way you need to answer, or is there some other way to answer this question? Here you need to focus on the consequences of the primitive man, that is shifting, because the primitive man earlier he was leading hunting and gathering life. In Paleolithic and Mesolithic, he was leading hunting and gathering life. In Neolithic, the lifestyle of primitive man changed completely. He started sedentary life, right? So the main demand of the question is about the Neolithic revolution. The question is about the Neolithic revolution. From hunting gathering to sedentary life. During the sedentary life, he started agricultural activities. He started domestication of animals. Right? This should be your answer. So you need to explain. The consequences of sedentary life. For example, demographic and epidemiological consequences with rise in food production and sedentarism. So he started living at one place. He started agricultural activity, started food production. So sedentism and food production had some impact on the demographic and epidemiological aspects of the primitive. So this has to be your answer. The same question they have asked in paper. Discuss the characteristic features of Neolithic culture in India. Discuss the characteristics features of Neolithic culture in India. So when you try to interlink between the papers and the concepts, your answer will be holistic. Unless and until you connect the concepts and papers, you can't write the answer in a much better way. This is the way how you enrich your answer. because it is not that easy to get 320 plus. For example, last year, some student got 365. They got 340, 325. So this is the way how you enrich your answer, how you improve your answers. So how will you improve your answers? How will you, what are the ways to enrich your answer? What are the ways to improve your answers? How will you get 320 plus? Because GS will be level playing. If you want to have edge over others, then you need to focus on your optional subject, essay, and ethics. These are the 3 papers which will give you more marks. So how will you improve your marks? What are the ways to improve? First and foremost is the practicing answer writing, and second one is the attending test series. So what are the benefits of attending test series, and what are the benefits of answer writing on a daily basis? What are the benefits? What are the benefits of answering? I think there are some benefits, right?
Yes, sir.
What are those benefits?
Sir, it
Because
will improve
yeah,
the
tell me.
presentation of answers,
Okay.
and it will information contents which we have to represent the answers and answer
How will
writing
you come to know that you are representing in a proper way, or
by practice, sir.
if you practice? Only if you practice that answer you come to know, or if you
If-
get the feedback, but you will
Yes,
get
sir.
to know that.
After writing the answers, we should make that.
Okay. Then what are the other benefits? The first and foremost benefit of answer writing is that you will come to know your weak spots. You will come to know about your weak spots. That is your weaknesses. Huh? Where you lack. There are many students who are preparing for many years, but they are still not able to understand the question. If they understand the question, they will not be able to articulate the answer in a proper way. So what is the, and even they will be facing problem in organizing and structuring the answers. Huh? What is the reason behind that? Because they simply open PNARC or Nadeem Hussain book, LP Vidyarthi book, and they keep on reading. They will not write the tests on a daily basis, or they will not attend the test series. This is the main problem with these students. When you write the test series and get the feedback from the evaluator, you will come to know that even after reading a particular topic, why I have committed the mistake. So when you come to know that, so this is my weakness, that I have the content, I know the concept, but I'm not able to present in a proper way. So if you come to know that mistake, then you will definitely address that lack in it, your weak spot. Know your weakness, then only you will address it. So without answer writing, you will not be able to know your weak spots. So once you know your weak spot or your weaknesses, then you will address those things. So apart from having the weak spot, each and every one of you have your strengths also, right? For example, someone will be good in physical anthropology, someone will be good in socio-cultural anthropology, someone will be good in applied anthropology, right? So by writing the test series, you will be able to write the concepts with utmost clarity. Keep on practicing on a daily basis. The definitions, the concepts, the case studies. So during in the examination hall, the answer will be on your fingertips. You will articulate in a proper way to the examiner. You will be able to present the answer in the utmost clarity, and at the same time you will be able to interlink the concepts and the paper 1 and paper 2. For example, you will be able to interlink between the physical anthropology and socio-cultural anthropology from paper 1 to paper 2 also. This is the second benefit. What is the third benefit? The third benefit will be structuring and organizing power. By writing test series, you will be able to improve your structuring and organizing power. As I said, you know the concept, you know the case studies, but if the answer is not in a proper structure, like introduction, body, conclusion, then knowing the concept has no use. As each and everyone says that structuring part is very important if you want to get into the service, because each and every one of you have knowledge about the concept. For example, take an example of NMS complex, nature, man, spirit complex. Who proposed it? Who proposed it? Darshan, Chandana. Malleshwari, speak out. Who proposed NMS complex? Nature, man, spirit complex. Who proposed it? I think LP Vidyarthi will die once again in his grave. LP Vidyarthi proposed NMS complex or not? Guys, you need to speak up. What is the tribe he studied there? Have you heard the name LP Vidyarthi or no? First of all, tell me that. Akhilesh? Akhilesh?
Sir,
Have you heard the name LP Vidyarthi?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Indian anthropologist.
Oh. What is the tribe is studied there. Have you heard this tribe? Malayat Pahari. He spoke about the spirit called Gosen. So what we are speaking about? We are speaking about the structuring and organizing. So take for example NMS complex. In the introduction, you will mention about the LP Vidyarthi and his case studies. Then you will explain about the NMS complex and its importance. Right? For example, here you will speak about the sacred groves. So the NMS complex will help in the environmental protection also. So each and everyone know about the NMS complex and the LP Vidyarthi. But how you present the answer makes the difference. It will make the difference. So somebody is scoring 320 plus and somebody is struggling to score 220. So what is the difference? This is the difference. Means the structuring, the organizing the paper. This structuring and organizing is one of the important factor to score the 320 plus marks. So what are the benefits of answer writing? One is to know your weaknesses and your strengths. And the third one is to improve your structuring and organizing. And the utmost important of attending the test series is to improve your speed of answer writing. To improve your speed of answer. Speed of answer. Suppose the NMS complex. They have asked it for 10 marks. You know the concept. So what you do? You spend more than 10 minutes on this NMS complex. Suppose if you spend more than 10 minutes on this NMS complex. You have mentioned the tribe, you have mentioned about the LP Vidyarthi, your structure is in a proper way, you have organized the answer in a proper way. But you took more than 10 minutes. Then the first 3 benefits will be of no. If you need maximum is 5 minutes for 10 marks. You have spent more than, you have spent twice the time, right? So if you spend 10 minutes on answering 10 marker question, then you will not be able to attend the other questions in a proper way, right? So if you are not able to attend all the questions, definitely you will be out of the race, because UPSC doesn't award you more than 40% of your marks if your answer is in a proper proper structure, organized way. And if you have mentioned all the aspects, all the facets of that answer, if your answer is in a proper way, then they will award you maximum is 40%. To some extent, 45%. So if you have not attended the question, suppose you have left NMS complex. If you know the answer, then you are missing 4 marks of. So the speed is the most important factor if you want to get into the service. So as I said, these are 4 things, like you are identifying your weakness and the strengths, organizing and structuring your answer in a proper way, and writing the answer in a specified time. These will not be developed overnight. So there is no some magic trick that you will swing a stick and you score 320 plus. Okay, it is your consistent hard work plus smart work under the right guidance. You will be able to get the 320 plus marks. It is the necessity to get 320 plus if you want to get into the service. Otherwise, it will be not be difficult, impossible to get into the service. So, write the tests. You will come to know about your weaknesses, the evaluator, as we give you the feedback that you are committing such mistakes in the particular answer. So I can tell you how to write the answer, but I can't tell you how to write a particular answer because each and everyone have their own way to present the answer. But I can tell you, oh, this has to be the structure, this has to be the introduction, but the words, the language of each and everyone will be different. So when we give you the feedback, go home, look at the feedback. You need to identify what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses. So identifying those things, don't commit the same mistakes which you have committed in the previous test. If you commit the same mistake, it is going to be the blunder. So this continuous virtual cycle of identifying your strengths and weaknesses, improving your structure and organizing capacity, and increasing your speed, this virtual success is going to give you the fruits, right? This virtual success, this is going to help you in a much better way. Some other things apart from these 4, identifying weakness, strengths, structure, organizing, and speed, there are 3 other important things which you need to keep in mind while writing the answer. The first important point is simplicity. Simplicity. I think you have read the NCERT books. All of you have read the NCERT books. Look at the language uses. They use the layman language. They will never use the bombarding words, high sounding bombarding languages. They use the simple language. There are 3 ingredients which gives you good marks in the anthropology. One is simplicity. Second point is holism or holistic approach. Simplicity, holistic approach. The third point is relevance. The third point is relevance. So these are the three ingredients which makes your answer different from the others. So first is simplicity. Means you need to answer, you need to use the simple language, not the bombarding words. Because the examiner, not only the examiner, if somebody reads the answer, each and everyone should understand what you are conveying, what you are telling. Because when you get into the service, you may get IAS, IPS, RS, IRS, that doesn't matter. When you get into the service, your main nature of work will be addressing the problems of the people. Each and every day, people come to you. As an administrator, you try to understand the problem first and provide solutions to those problems that arise in society each and every day. So, suppose an illiterate man comes to you. He has some problems. When he comes to you, you try to understand first what he is saying. You need to be a good listener, right? And you need to address the problem. Suppose he has some problem related to his agricultural land. You need to convey in that language which he understands. Suppose you keep on saying that the government has launched many reforms, you can have the benefits from those programs. He will not understand what you are saying. So your language needs to be simple. That is the main thing, right? At the same time, try to avoid grammatical mistakes, because your language depends upon your grammar. Suppose you use are instead of were, it will give a different meaning, right? So, if your answer is simple, the examiner will be able to connect with your answer. Obviously, he will award you the bonus. And at the same time, here you can follow the proper pattern, as I said, introduction, body, conclusion. And in anthropology, there is a convention that in introduction, each and everyone will try to mention definition in the introduction. There is no need to mention the definition in each and every answer. Your introduction should be in accordance with the demand of the question. For example, the question is about the status of poverty among Indian tribes. Status of poverty among Indian tribes. What is going to be your answer? What is going to be your introduction first? You need to compare the status of the poverty among the Indian tribes with the mainstream population. So here there is no need to mention the definition of the poverty or the tribe. Mention the status of the poverty of, compare the status of the poverty of the Indian tribes with that of the mainstream population. Then mention what are the reasons? What are the reasons for the poverty? Then mention what are the consequences of that poverty. Then mention the initiatives taken by the government to address the issue. Then suggest ways, measures to address the poverty among the Indian. So this is the way. So if mention these subheadings, because the examiner will be able to connect with the your answer easily. Make the examiner comfortable. So in the reasons mention 1, 2, 3. What are the consequences? 3 points. What are the initiatives? 3 points. Suggest some methods. So this is how you make your answer simple and organized. Right? You can use some, while answering, you can use flowcharts or graphic designs or the mind maps. Like if you are answering about the concept called Rina, connect with the Purusharthas. How many Purusharthas are there? Or how many ashramas are there? Connect with the Purusharthas. Connect with the ashramas. How many ashramas are there? 4 or 8? How many ashramas are? There are 4 ashramas. What are those? Brahmacharya, then Grihastha, then Vanaprastha, then Sannyasa. So here you can mention in a flow chart. Brahmacharya. Okay. Then Grihastha, then Vanaprastha, then Sannyasa. Okay. If you perform the Rina, like Pindadana, the rituals, you will get moksha, which is the ultimate end for your life. If you don't perform Rina, then it will lead to rebirth. Then again you follow the same circle. In this way, mention the flow charts, which will be easier for the examiner to understand what you are explaining. Okay. This is the very important part of your answer before going to explain because it will show what you are going to explain in the upcoming paragraphs. So the introduction is like a mirror to your answer. It reflects what you are going to say. So it should be in accordance with the demand of the question. No need to mention the definition in each and every answer. Okay. Suppose the question is about the caste system. Caste system. There you can mention about the definitions. They will directly ask, define caste system or discuss the characteristics of the caste system. There mention the definition of the caste system. But here, status of poverty among tribes, there is no need to mention the definition of poverty of the tribe. Mention the or compare the health status, sorry, the poverty status of the Indian tribes with that of the mainstream population. Okay. Second point. Second point was holistic approach. Holistic approach or holism. What is holistic approach? How will you write the answer in a holistic way? And what are the uses of writing the answer in a holistic way? How you will write the answer in a holistic way? What do you mean by holism or writing an answer in a holistic way? It means whatever is required to justify a particular question. I will repeat, whatever is required to justify a particular question, you have to give everything to the examiner. And that includes definition. That includes definition, name of the scholar, name of the scholar, name of the scholar, his works, that the books or articles published by that particular scholar, or the case studies. For example, if you are writing about the caste system, you can mention the case study of the M.N. Srinivas, right? Then you have to mention the case studies of the examples wherever it is necessary. So definition. So connect the second point of holism with the simplicity. In simple, what you will cover first? The introduction, which depends upon the demand of the question. If the question demands the definition, mention the definition. If the question doesn't demand it, mention the other introduction. Then the name of the scholar. As I said, in NMS complex, in the introduction, you need to mention about the LP Vidyarthi and his case study of Malayan tribe. Suppose you have written the concept and you did not mention the case study example, it means you are communicating halfway to the examiner. It is the half communication or half expression. So you need to justify your answers. Do not write the generic answers. Kindly avoid writing generic answers. You need to justify your answers. For example, suppose you mention in anthropology or GS, that doesn't matter. Avoid mentioning generic points. Suppose you say that there is a poverty in India. Why should the examiner believe in you? Why should he believe? Suppose you mention some committee, like Tendulkar committee or something like that. You will justify your argument. Always justify your arguments. Along with avoiding mentioning the generic ones, avoid one-line statements. One-line statements. Do not mention one-line statements, because these one-line statements are the half communications, half expressions. So as I said, if you are attempting the answer of the caste system, then you need to mention the scholar and his works. For example, caste system, M.N. Srinivas. He conducted the case, the study in which village? His field work in, I think he has conducted the field work, right? Where he conducted his field work? In a village called Rampur. He conducted his field work and he mentioned about the caste system. So if you mention the case studies or the examples, you will be able to connect properly with the examiner. Okay. Take another example. How to write an answer in a holistic way. Suppose the question is on a primate. Have you heard the primate Neanderthal? Neanderthal man. Okay. Neanderthal. How will you write in a holistic way? Mention the time period of the Neanderthal. Time period. Then geographical distribution. Geographical distribution. Then biological features like cranial and extracranial features. Biological features. Then cultural features. Cultural features. Then finally phylogenetic status of Neanderthal. Phylogenetic status of the Neanderthal. So this is the way how you write the answer in a holistic way. So simplicity and holism. And the third important point is the relevance. Third important point is the relevance. Third important point is the relevance, because the UPSC focuses more on the applied anthropology. Applied anthropology. Last year, more than 105 marks was from applied anthropology. Applied anthropology, and another important favorite topic of UPSC is the archaeology. These are the two important One of the important topic was the applied and another is the archaeology. So here the relevance come to the forefront. Relevance. So you need to mention what is the applied aspect of the any given concept. For example, when you are writing a particular answer on archaeology or applied anthropology, you need to think from the perspective of the applied anthropologist or a action anthropologist. So you need to connect the contemporary issues with the given concept. For example, we have discussed about the poverty status, right? Don't try to mention those old 4 reasons that you read in the textbooks. Okay. Along with those 4, try to give the present examples what the Indian tribes are facing. Because the health status also have an impact on the poverty. The indebtedness have the impact on the poverty, right? So connect those points and mention the contemporary reasons of the status, poverty status of the Indian tribes. Okay, because as an administrator, you will address their problems. So, how a given concept is going to be helpful for the governance? Mention that point. Okay. Means how an anthropological knowledge that you have studied in the preparation is going to help you in the administration. For example, you will suggest measures to address the poverty among the Indian tribes. So while suggesting the measures, try to think from the administrator's perspective, right? Do not mention the suggestions in a generic way. If the government has taken some initiatives, those initiatives will have the loopholes, right? While reading any particular reform or initiative, try to identify what are the loopholes of that program. So in suggestions, mention that those loopholes, that if the government address those loopholes, the poverty of the Indian tribes can be addressed in a proper way. So in this way, you need to suggest the measures. So then examiner will come to know that, oh, this particular aspirant has some knowledge, which is very helpful for the society. So obviously, instead of giving 3 marks out of 10, he will give 4 or 4.5. Okay. So this is how you will snatch marks from the exam. This is how the toppers score marks. Each and every answer should have a proper structure along with the case studies and examples. And the last important point is the conclusion, because you know where to start and how to start, but many of the students don't know how to conclude the answer. I have evaluated and gave feedback to many students. They miss this point. They will end the answer abrupt. So don't do that. You need to conclude answer in a proper way. And that conclusion has to be forward. Your conclusion should have some emotional aspects, because examiner is also a human being. He will also have some emotions. So try to use the concept emotional intelligence, which you study in ethics. Try to hit the emotional core of that exam. If you hit that emotional core of that examiner, I will assure you that definitely he will give you more marks. How to write a proper answer. Suppose you are attempting the 10-marker question, and the question is about the animism. And the question is about the animism. What do you mean by animism? Have you heard the term? Animism? In the introduction, you need to mention about the animism. So, animism is derived from a Latin word, which means a spirit or a soul. Simple. Okay. Animism is a type of belief system. It is a type of a belief system which believes that all the natural objects, whether animate or inanimate, will have the spirit. This is the simple introduction to the concept. Animism is derived from the Latin word, which means spirit or a soul. So it says that it is a belief system. It says that each and every animate or inanimate soul or a spirit will have a spirit. After mentioning the introduction, in the body, mention the history about the animism. Means when it got started, when the animistic belief got started. So this animistic belief got started during the period of Neanderthals. Right? It can be traced back, the animistic belief can be traced back to the period of Neanderthals, who practiced deliberate burial, burial system. So there are many evidences of this deliberate burial system, like in Shanidar Cave, Iraq, and in some places of Israel. We find the evidences for this deliberate burial system. So here, what everyone does is, instead of mentioning about this Neanderthal and the deliberate burial system and the evidences we have found, they focus only on the E.V. Taylor. Each and everyone write only about the concept explained by the E.V. Taylor, but that will score you average marks. If you want to get some more marks compared to this, mention about the Neanderthal and the deliberate burial system. This is how you make your answer different from the others. Then after mentioning about the Neanderthals and the deliberate burial system, move on to the E.V. Taylor. Now mention about the concept explained by the E.B. Taylor. So E.B. Taylor explained about the animism in his book Primitive Culture. Primitive Culture. So according to E.B. Taylor, animism is the earliest and simplest form of religion, from where other religions got evolved. For example, from animism evolved polytheism. From polytheism evolved monotheism. So mention in such a way, it will help you to convey in a proper way to the examiner, right? So after mentioning about the E.B. Taylor, that he explains about the animism is primitive culture, and according to him, animism is the simplest and the earliest form of religion, from where the other forms of religion evolved. So after mentioning about E.B. Taylor, you may mention this flow chart or a mind map. After mentioning about E.B. Taylor, mention where you can find the animism in the present societies, the relevance. Okay. So, as I said, follow simplicity, holistic way, then the relevance. Okay. Many tribes worship sacred groves. Mention the example. You can use the example of LP Vidyarthi's NMS complex, where the people talks about, where he talks about the spirit called Gosen. Gosen. And there is also a concept called Sarnaism. Sarana or Saranaism. Sarana. Sarana means sacred groves. Sarana means sacred groves. The Central Indian tribe, Munda, worship the sacred groves. It is the form of the animism. Animism is not only related to the simple societies or the primitive societies, it is also present in our societies also. For example, we can perform a ritual called Shraddha or Pindadan, which is a tribute to our ancestors. Through Shraddha, we try to satiate our ancestors, right? So this is also a form of animism. So your answer is simple. There should not be a grammatical mistakes. Use the simple language, simple way, holistic way. Mention about the animism, where it got started. Then mention the history. Then mention about the E.B. Taylor. Then mention the examples in simple society. After mentioning the examples from the simple societies, mention the examples from the contemporary societies. Relevance. So for 10 marks, he will give you, the UPSC will give you 2 pages, which can be used to mention the answer in a holistic. In the conclusion, now the conclusion. In the conclusion, mention the significance of the animism. Mention the significance of the animism. Means preservation of resources. For example, many of the tribal groups worship the hilltops. They say that on the hilltops our ancestors reside. Many of the tribes worship sacred groves. They will not allow anyone to chop off their sacred groves. So this is the significance of the animism. So this is the how you write answer, and your answer will be different from the others. This is how you score 320 plus marks in anthropology. I will assure you that if you write in a proper, as I explained, 320 plus is not a big issue. You will score more 340 to 350 because UPSC anthropology, there is a less scope for the analytical questions. They may ask you analytical questions maximum 2 or 3. Last year they have asked, as I said, critically analyze the consequences of epidemiological and demographic consequences of the food production and sedentism. This was the only question. And look at the other questions. They focus on the discuss, describe, explain, elaborate, write a short note on the phylogenetic status of any particular tribe. But in other option subjects, you need to interpret the question first. You need to understand the question first and comprehend and write. But in anthropology, they show this, as the UPSC has the less scope for the analytical questions, they try to play with your psychological aspects, as I said, like the words Natufian culture or Sudaning. As I said, in Sudaning, you know the answer, but you don't know the question, you don't know the meaning of the word Sudaning. Sudaning means shifting cultivation. You can easily write about the shifting cultivation, slash and burn cultivation. So this is how the UPSC in anthropology, they try to play with your psyche. So when you see such words like Sudaning or Natufian culture, in the first question itself, maintain the calmness, because this 10 marker is not going to decide your entire paper, because you need to deal with other question also, which you are very familiar with. So first answer those questions properly and come to the Sudaning or the Natufian culture, simple way, right? But don't leave the concept. You can't leave the answer only when you understand the different facets of the particular topics, that is the subtopics. As I said, language, it has the social context of language. So based on that social context, they have asked Sapir hypothesis. As it says, the language frames our or builds our behavior and culture. Do not restrict that language to the paper 1 itself. Connect with the paper 2 also, as there are Dravidian cultures, Dravidian languages. Okay, so this is how to approach the 2021 anthropology answer. From tomorrow, we are starting the test series. Okay, whoever are interested, you can contact the office, and from tomorrow you can write the test. So if you have any problems, you may ask me. If you have any doubts or problems, you may ask me. And along with that, if you write the test answers, we will provide you the model answers, and there will be a discussion class for that particular test. The only drawback of this anthropology is that there are some facts to remember, like regarding the primates or the status of phylogenetic status of any particular tribes. So there are some facts which you need to remember. Like we said, रट्टा मारना पड़ेगा. You may ask now, or you may consult the office and take my mail ID, and you can contact me through my mail ID also. Okay. If you have any doubts, anything, be free to ask me. But don't forget to write the test series, whether at Cadence IAS or some other institute also, but write the test series, because without writing the test series, you will not be able to get into the service or clear the mains examination. This is for sure. Because the stress management, the speed writing, your identifying your strengths and weaknesses come through only test series, because the evaluator will come to know your weakness, strength, your structuring ability, your organizing ability. Then he will give you the feedback. So once you get the feedback, obviously we will rectify them and move on to the next test, and don't commit that mistakes which you have committed in the previous test. Okay. So if you have any doubts, be free to ask. And from tomorrow, the test series will be starting. Okay. Thank you.